Hello and welcome to episode 235 of the Juicebox Podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by Omnipod, Dancing for Diabetes, and Dexcom. You can go to myomnipod.com/juicebox, dancing4diabetes.com, or dexcom.com/juicebox to find out more. There are also links in your show notes and at juiceboxpodcast.com. In this episode of the Juicebox Podcast, I'll be speaking with Tommy. Tommy's had type 1 diabetes for a year, maybe a little longer, and I got to record this with him while he was on his way home from his endocrinologist appointment with his mom. Tommy is 11 years old, and I think you're going to be pretty amazed when you listen to this conversation. Please remember that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise, and to always consult a physician before making any changes to your medical plan or becoming bold with insulin.
We're driving right now.
Oh, so you're in the car? Oh, that's
yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Okay.
My name's Tommy, and I've been diagnosed for a year and a half right now, and I've stayed steady and strong. I very recently, just got an A1C of about 6.0, and I feel pretty confident with that, but it wasn't as good as my last A1C. My last A1C was 5.7.
How is your variability, though? Are you sometimes a lower A1C isn't better if your blood sugar is bouncing up and down. So how are you doing with staying stable?
I'm staying stable, but in the mornings I kind of spike up a little bit because I eat cereal, but we figured out a way to kind of make that work.
Cool. That's excellent.
Would you like to hear that?
Well, hold on a second. I see you're excited, Tommy. I like that. Hold on a second, though. Let me ask you a couple questions, though, okay? So you said you were diagnosed about a year ago, but you're 11 years old?
Yes, I'm 11 right now, about to turn 12 in April 18th.
No kidding. All right, well, happy birthday, a little early. Okay, so let's think. Anybody else in your family have type 1 diabetes?
No one actually had type 1 diabetes in my family, and we don't know how I got it, but I think we might run a test.
Are other people thinking of doing testing on them? Is it going to do TrialNet maybe?
We might try, but I don't think so.
Okay, it's no big deal. I was just wondering. So nobody else had type 1. You're the first one in the family to get it.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Okay, and you say that now. I got an email from you. Let me see if I can find it. And you said that your mom listens to the podcast and then tells you things that she's heard for you to try. Do you listen as well?
I listen sometimes, but my mom really listens the most.
Gotcha. And how does that go when she comes to you and says, "Hey, I have this new thing I want you to try." Do you want to try?
So, we listened to one, and it was you talking to another boy, and he said that he ate cereal and other things by waking up, covering, then going in the shower, and that really helps him with his insulin. So we tried that, and we couldn't really tell the difference, but it worked just a little bit. But it was true, and we really liked it, so we wanted to give it a try.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I think things work differently for everybody. So something that worked for him might not work for you, and vice versa. So that's no big deal. So you said you're eating cereal now and you're keeping your spikes down, and you wanted to tell me about how that's happening. So tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah. So I wake up and I give myself insulin, so my ratio's 1 to 30. And so I'd give myself 3 units, which is 90 carbs. And my basal's also very high. And if I was pretty high overnight, I might hop in the shower. But then after that, I'd get changed and get my shoes and socks on, get ready for the day or school, whatever I'm about to do.
Right.
And then after that, I eat, and then we go to school. But I eat, and sometimes I go up a little, but then it works. It goes up to like maybe one like top 180, but it's the best system that we've tried so far, and it helps us a lot.
That's excellent. So tell me something. When you put those 3 units in, how long between when you put the 3 units in and when you start eating the cereal is it?
It would take like maybe 15 minutes. But right now I feel like my body, it feels like it's kind of it's getting faster. Like
You think the insulin's starting to work more quickly than it has in the past?
Yes.
Is that so? Let me ask you this: how long have you been using an insulin pump?
How long have I been using insulin?
Yeah, no, insulin pump.
For about maybe like a year.
Okay, so pretty much the whole time you've had diabetes, you've had a pump?
Yeah, pretty much the whole time.
Okay.
We haven't really changed or anything like that.
Gotcha. Okay. Are you getting out of the car and going somewhere else now?
No, I'm low right now, so I'm trying to find a juice box.
Take your time. What's your blood sugar?
I'm like 71.
Okay. And when's the last time you had insulin?
I gave myself insulin because I was going a little high.
So are you 71 and like is your blood sugar falling right now or is it stable at 71?
Stable.
So
I just wanted to give myself just a little bit.
How do you feel at 70?
I feel a little weird, a little hot, like getting hot, but I don't feel really weird, but when it gets really low, I feel it.
Yeah, no kidding. So now, will you drink the whole juice box or just half of it, or what will you try here?
Half of it.
Yeah. So what's your goal to get your blood sugar back to where?
Maybe like 105.
Cool. Take your time, drink up. What flavor is the juice?
Yeah. Pacific Cooler. Pacific Cooler. So that, but cherry is my favorite.
Arden has one that she doesn't like, but I switch it back and forth just so she doesn't get sick of the one she does like. And when she's sleeping, if she has to drink it while she's sleeping, she makes a face even in her sleep for the flavor she doesn't like as much. Yeah.
Sometimes when my mom wakes me up to so maybe give myself a juice, I'll talk. I'll be like, what?
So you take the juice box to Arden while she's sleeping and touch the straw to her lip, and she knows it's there, and then she just opens her mouth and drinks it. She never wakes up.
What my mom tells me. That's the same exact thing I do.
Are you all right to keep going, or do you want to take a minute?
Oh, yeah, no, we can go right now. But I just already had it.
No, cool. So why are you in the car? Where are you going or coming from?
So I just came from the endocrinologist. Sorry, I can't say it.
Well, I'll say it with you. Ready? It's
endocrinologist.
See, you got it. There you go. Right.
Okay.
So you went in to do this is your like quarterly checkup? Like you go like every few months?
Yeah, we were gonna get blood drawn, but we had to skip it.
Yeah. Listen, you were probably thrilled about that, right?
Yes, I was so happy.
Yeah. Nobody wants to give blood for any reason.
No.
I hear you. So, what did you find out at the appointment?
We found out an A1C. We just we got stuff rescheduled. And prescriptions.
You got new prescriptions? Yeah, you went to visit the prescription and A1C lady?
Yeah. I think we're gonna get a new touch Omnipod with touchscreen.
Oh, you're gonna get the Dash?
Yeah, I'm really happy about that.
That's so cool. I used one a couple weeks ago and they're really neat.
Really?
Yeah, you're gonna like it. I have to wait just like everybody else though. I have to wait till my insurance is will cover it. But that's really cool. You're gonna like it. It's a different experience than using that other one. So, okay, so you got a 6 A1C, which is probably thrilling. I would be amazingly happy to see a 6.
My mom kind of likes it.
Oh, yeah?
I kind of like it,
Yeah?
but
What did you want it to be lower?
yeah,
How?
just a little.
But, there's not a real big difference between like 5'7" and 6, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
I think that whether you're 5'7", 6, or in any tight kind of space like that, you have to realize that it's not about the number as much as it is about knowing that what you're doing is working.
Mhm.
So the ideas that you're following and, the steps you're taking are keeping your blood sugar in a place where your A1C stays under 6. And you're not going over 180 very frequently. Do you get low very often, like under 60?
Not that frequently, but this morning I was pretty low. I had 2 errors going down, and I got in the LOWs. But we got back up. The funny thing was that I put the milk in the pantry.
So you were so low that you tried to put the milk in the refrigerator and you just put it in the pantry instead?
Yeah.
Do you remember what being that low felt like?
Kind of. It feels. I mean, I was. I feel like shaky and a little lightheaded.
Mm-hmm.
Confusion, of course.
Yeah.
And just you just kind of just you don't really know where you are. I mean, you feel like your head's in a different position in a different place,
I got you.
but you just can't really tell. It's really hard to tell. Like, people ask me, "Hey, what does low feel like?" I tell them that it's not the best feeling, and you can't really control yourself, but you feel normal, but you feel like you're in a different universe. Like, you feel like you're floating in space, but your organs and organisms are in different places of your body.
I understand. I mean, I don't understand. It's never happened to me, but I understand your explanation. It's a pretty clear explanation. So, you don't get low like that very often. What do you think happened this morning that got you low like that?
Cereal. I waited a lot.
Oh, so you waited too long on your pre-bolus, and then the cereal couldn't catch up with the insulin.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. How long did you end up waiting that was too long?
I think I might have ended up 30 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, that's a long time. Because there's that moment, Tommy, where it starts to fall, and you have to realize that CGM's not showing you exactly what's happening in the moment. It's a little behind, right? So when you start seeing that drifting down, and even if you don't get a diagonal arrow down, even if the number's moving down, then your insulin's active and it's working, and that's probably a pretty safe place to start eating that.
Yeah.
So, well, now you know, right? 30 minutes is too long. Okay. Well, you won't make that mistake again.
Yeah, I won't.
Yeah. What kind of cereal, by the way?
Oh, my brother likes Lucky Charms. I kind of like Rice Krispies, but I'm pretty sure it was Cheerios.
Cheerios? And those hit you hard, right? They if you don't do it right, they'll really send your blood sugar up. Let me tell you about cereal for a second, Tommy. Nowadays, it's not like it was when I was a young man your age. They used to have real sugar in it. It was just it wasn't all chemically and weird. Stuff was so sugary. My favorites included back then Apple Jacks, Fruit Loops.
Wow.
Right? Have you ever had a Fruit Loop?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They don't taste anything now like they used to. And my absolute favorite, Fruity Pebbles.
Oh, Fruity Pebbles is amazing. I love Fruity Pebbles.
I'm going to tell you, if I could put you in a time machine, take you back 20 years. Wait a minute. Let me do the math again. That would make me 27. I don't mean 20. Oh my God, Tommy. I think what I mean is if I could put you in a time machine and take you back 40 years. Oh my God, I'm so old, Tommy. Your Fruity Pebbles would have been a different experience for you. They were just magical. Magical, I'm telling you. Okay, so now they're just not the same. Food's different now. GMOs. We're killing the farmers. That's all, Tommy. Let's get past that. Now, what are you using for a pump?
Using for my pump?
Yeah, which pump do you have?
Oh, I have the Omnipod. I'm confused.
No, don't be confused. You're confused because you're lower because of my question wasn't worded well.
I think your question wasn't worded well.
I think so too, Tommy, because I already knew you had an Omnipod because you said you were thinking of getting a Dash.
Oh, yeah.
So my question should have been, what made you pick the Omnipod when you chose?
Oh, I just didn't really like giving myself shots that often. I didn't like, just like, I kind of like giving like, I saw that the Omnipod would just like give you insulin, which was like, wow, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like a shot and then you're ready for 3 days. But, instead of shot over constantly. It just seemed cool to me. So I wanted to try it out.
Good for you. And did you get a CGM at a similar time, Dexcom?
Yes, I think I got it maybe before.
The pump? Tommy?
No, I got the CGM before.
Before the pump. Okay. And so did you have the G6 always, or did you have the G5 to start with?
I had the G5 and now I have the G6.
Nice. Do you like it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, let's think about this. 11 years old puts you in, let me do the math real quick. Are you in 7th grade?
I got held back, so right now I'm in 5th grade. So I would be in 6th grade.
So I should have guessed 6th, but you're in 5th. Okay, so you're in 5th grade. How do you find school and diabetes together? Like, how do you manage it? Do you go to the nurse's office? Do you stuff with your mom? Like, how do you handle it?
My name is Elizabeth, and at 10 years old, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Shortly after, inspired by my middle school dance class, I came up with the idea to host a show to raise funds and spread awareness about diabetes. And Dancing for Diabetes started and has grown ever since.
When you're done here today, please visit dancingfordiabetes.com. That's diabetes4diabetes.com.
My hope for all the kids and teens in our dance program is that their type 1 diabetes will never get in their way. It will never stop them from achieving any goals or dreams that they have, and that they will feel empowered by their type 1 diabetes to do more, to do better, and to do well for everyone, including themselves.
On the night of the show, I want people to know that diabetes doesn't define you. I want people to be inspired, and if they even have type 1, that they're not alone, and that we can do anything we put our hearts to.
Like, how do you manage it? Do you go to the nurse's office? Do you stuff with your mom? Like, how do you handle it?
At my school, surprised where we live way out in the country, so we live pretty far out, and I go to a private school. Like, there's no nurse's office, so when I get low, I would tell my teacher and have a juice box. Mm-hmm. But if I get, like, really low, I'd tell my teacher and I'd sit down or something like that. But there's no nurse's office, so that means, like, I just do it on my own. I don't have except for my teacher. She's just there to make sure I don't pass out and start having a seizure.
Do you have a phone?
Yes, sir, I do have a phone.
Do you ever communicate with your mom during these times?
Yeah. So it seems weird to take out your phone during class and just start texting your mom. So we recently just got an Apple Watch. So I would just go on my Apple Watch and text my mom like, hey, I'm low. I took a juice box and blah blah blah. So she didn't get scared or nervous.
Cool. That's really good. Yeah, and by the way, I mean, I know you don't want to take your phone out in class a lot, and you probably, you shouldn't always have it out. But if you need it for your diabetes stuff, don't feel weird about that. That's what it's for, So now listen, you said you live out in the country. How far out in the country? Like, if you needed an ambulance, would a cow come get you, or would it be a car? Or how would it be? Like, where are you?
So we recently just moved. We lived like on a farm, kind of. We lived on 30 acres, and then like 100 acres was private land. So I'd just ride my dirt bike to like the round. So we had chickens and stuff like that. And then now we moved to a place that's like 15 acres and like 150 acres private land. So it's not a lot of land, but it's like we live like So if you pull up a map of South Carolina, Charleston,
Mm-hmm.
you would see Charleston, and then you'd see James Island, and then there's this tiny island across that's called Watermore. Watermore is a hard word to say, but it sounds like watermelon. So we live kind of far out on Watermore, and so it would be a 30-minute drive or a 25-minute drive to school. And then to the nearest hospital, it would be maybe an hour.
Okay. How do you spell the island's name? Do you know?
WADMALAW.
I found it. I'm looking on a map right now because I want to see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's just this tiny island.
It would take me 11 hours and 15 minutes to drive to you.
Wow.
And so you're really close to the water, too. Do you go to the beach a lot?
No, well, there's not really a beach, but we live on the water. So we live in a place that.
So like it's an inlet, like water that leads out to the ocean?
Yeah, so we had our front yard, and then there's this just big drop. There's kind of not a big drop, but like maybe a 5-foot drop down to the water, and then there's just trees hanging over the water, which is pretty cool.
There's a lot of green around where you just told me. That's really cool. Look, that's cool. So I have to ask you something, Tommy, because this sounds crazy, and you don't have to tell me if you don't want to, but you're 11 years old, and you sound incredibly smart, and you're doing such a good job with your diabetes and talking to me that I can't imagine that you got held back in school. Did you?
I have dyslexia. I have so I just don't. So dyslexia is like something with words. So so say you guys hear a word like people without diabetes. I mean, it's 2 D words.
It's okay. Don't worry. That was good.
Dyslexia. There. So you'd be like, oh, my teacher just taught me how to spell cow.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, okay, CAW, COW.
I got you. So you just needed like a little more time. Like you didn't get held back like you couldn't add or subtract or figure out who Magellan was. You needed a little more time to do what you needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's understandable, man. It really is. And how are things going with that?
It's honestly really difficult. It's not really difficult, but it's like difficult because sometimes I forget how to spell like where, or when I text someone I always say like Ben, BEN.
Mm-hmm.
I don't spell BEEN.
Gotcha. Listen,
So,
I'm 47 and I misspell about 20 words like that all the time. So I won't even embarrass myself with the amount of words I can't spell. I think you're doing great. Can I ask you a question? And if it's a weird question and you don't like it, you don't have to answer it, okay?
Yeah.
But if you were walking out on that beach, right? You followed the water down to the ocean, you went to the beach, you found a bottle on the beach, you rubbed it, and a genie popped out of it. And he said, Tommy, I can take away your diabetes or your dyslexia. Which one would you pick?
I'd pick my diabetes.
Okay. Can you tell me why?
Diabetes is a whole nother thing from dyslexia. Diabetes, you have a risk of like dying.
Mm-hmm.
Dyslexia, it's just like, I mean, it's like you can't spell a word. No biggie, but like.
I hear what you're saying. You'd like to be alive and not be able to spell before being dead and be able to spell. Mm-hmm. I got you, man. I think that's a quality answer. Very nice. I just was very interested in what you might say there. That's really cool.
Totally.
All right. So, seriously, you're on your way back from the endocrinologist right now, recording a podcast about having diabetes.
Yep.
You're just making a day of it, aren't you?
Yeah, I got to skip school, so I'm happy.
Hey, I'm with you. I won't even share with you how many days my senior year of high school I missed because it's embarrassing, and I think people would stop listening to the podcast if they knew. But I like having a day off too. How's the weather there? I'm just going to open up Arden's Dexcom Follow app here to see what her blood sugar is. I'm going to pull up the 6-hour view, last 6 hours. Arden's blood sugar is 93 right now, and it's stable. She got home a little early from school today. It's end of the year. They have half days, but she's still been studying for tests and doing homework. Around 4 o'clock, her blood sugar tried to get over 120, and we pushed it back down. And just prior to dinner at 6 p.m., it was 85. Now, Arden's blood sugar has not been over 120 or under about 90 in the 2 hours since dinner. What do we have for dinner tonight? Turkey breast, carrots, broccoli, mashed potatoes. Somewhere this afternoon, Arden had some snacks. I honestly don't even remember what they were. But the information coming back from the Dexcom allowed us to make timely pre-boluses and adjustments to Arden's blood sugar when necessary, so that heading into meal times, her blood sugar was where we expected it to be, and it made it easy to give her insulin for those meals. Now, as the evening progresses, her blood sugar settling in nicely and getting ready for bed. Now, with the Dexcom G6, if her blood sugar tries to, get away from us here as bedtime comes, we'll be able to make some nice adjustments to get her back into range. Before needing food or something like that, like say she's drifting down a little bit, we might trim back her basal insulin a little bit and get it to come back up again. I don't like Arden to have to eat things that she doesn't want to, just because her blood sugar is going low. And with Dexcom, we can make decisions that'll stop that from happening. You can use the Dexcom link at juiceboxpodcast.com, or of course right there in your podcast player. Or you can just go to dexcom.com/juicebox. No matter how you get there, get there. These are our results and yours may vary, but I believe that this 6-hour window is reflective of something that everyone can achieve, especially when you have the Dexcom G6 continuous glucose monitor.
It's actually really rainy today, but normally it's always sunny. Like my grandparents live in Minnesota, so it's it's rainy and but in the summertime it's pretty pretty. I really like it because of all the lakes. I kind of like the cold, which is weird to say. But I just like how it snows there, and I'd like to move to Minnesota, honestly, but here it's just really, really hot every single day. Like even in the winter, the coldest it gets is 40.
I would do the bugs bother you after a while? The bugs would bother.
Living here for almost 12 years gets not you the bugs don't really bother you.
Gotcha. You get used to it.
But if you come here straight away, you'd hate the bugs. It gets I'm a big animal person, so I wouldn't kill a single bug.
You sound like my wife describing being married to me. She's got used to it after a while, so it doesn't bother her as much anymore. I understand what you're saying. I'm looking right now. There are a lot of people listening to this podcast in Minnesota, and I know a few of them. So if you want to move
Wait,
up
is
there,
this live?
No.
Oh.
No, we're recording it.
Yeah.
Not as many listeners in South Carolina as Minnesota. So if you move there, you'll find more podcast friends, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do you think so? Hey, you said your grandparents. So if your grandparents are in Minnesota and you're in South Carolina, who moved where? Did you guys move to South Carolina?
So, this is gonna sound really boring, but my whole family, is really interesting. So my dad, way back, from my dad's parents, I forgot his name, but it's Thomas or some. He came from Czech Republic. Okay. To here, and he I'm pretty sure he came from Maryland, and then he moved up to Minnesota, and he started this thing called the Traxlers, and the Traxlers is a huge hunting company. I love hunting.
Right.
My dad asked me to go hunting. I'd say yes.
Right away.
So then from there, one of the girls married a guy, and his name was Topka, and that's my last name. So that was my great grandma, grandma, I mean, well, they came from my dad. Then my dad, my great grandfather, all those other things.
Mm-hmm.
And then my parents ended up moving there, and they came up with a banking company and a bunch of other companies.
Okay.
And so then my grandfather, his name is Thomas Topka, like my name.
Mm-hmm.
And he is an investor, and he invests in other things, companies, like a real estate investor.
Yeah.
And then he passed that on to my dad, which my dad is now a real estate investor, and he invests in houses and like companies and buildings and stuff like that.
That's pretty cool, Tommy. You said this was going to be boring, but then you said it was going to be interesting. I think you were right when you said it was interesting. So your family immigrated up north from the Czech Republic, I guess is the right way to say it, right?
On my dad's side.
Right. And
yeah, on my dad's side.
Did you hear, like, at the end of last year, we had an episode with Elena, and she's from the Czech Republic.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, she was on. She has type 1 too.
Wow.
So, so you guys moved down there. I get this. Let me ask you some other more like child-friendly questions. What's the last movie you saw, and what movie are you excited to see?
Last movie I saw was maybe the Spider-Man movie.
Into the Spider-Verse?
Yeah, they've really changed it up.
Tommy, I love that movie. You and I now have something we can definitely talk about here. Hold on a second. So, they kind of followed the like different like comic book things. So my son didn't like some of the things that I thought were really great. So,
it was really weird.
And you found it strange?
Yeah, they had Spider-Man having electrical shooting webs and also invisible powers, which the original Spider-Man just had able to shoot webs, and that like I was totally fine with that. But a spider that can shoot electrical webs and go invisible, just like, but why?
It was too much for
why?
you?
Yeah.
Yeah? How about when they, like, did you notice the colors in the movie sometimes separated from each other? Do you know why they did that?
No, I didn't really.
Did you notice it or
attention.
no?
Oh, yeah, I noticed that, but I didn't really.
Do you want to know? I'll tell you why.
Yeah, I want to know.
All right, Tommy. So back when they used to make comic books a long time ago, the printing presses weren't really as good as they are now. The idea of printing wasn't good. So sometimes, you know how they print, like they lay colors over top of colors, how a printing press works till you get to the color at once. So sometimes
Yes.
Right? So like old inkjet printers still do that. Like they lay down the yellow and the black and like all these colors, and then you're like, wow, it's purple. So what would happen was while they were doing that printing process on the comic books, the books would move. So you'd see like the bands of other colors like bleeding out from the actual color. So they, so they reproduced that in the movie on purpose to give it like a comic book feeling sometimes.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that neat? There's a lot of cool stuff in that movie actually.
Right now I'm taking a huge animation class. And well, not right now. I just finished it, and I became like I was pretty good in it, and my teacher, like, I was not to like brag or anything, but I was like a straight A student in that class.
Cool. And what kind of animation is that something you might be interested in doing when you get older?
Yeah, maybe.
Are you good? Can you draw, or like Arden likes designing clothes, but she can't draw.
So there's traditional animation, which is like the flip books and stuff like that. And then there's computer animation, which is like the ones that they're doing right now, with on computers, like it explains itself.
Yeah.
And then there's claymation, which I studied in a lot, and you make these figures out of clay, and you take a picture, then you move them, then you take a picture. It's a long process, but when it ends up, it looks really cool. And then you can also add green screens and music and stuff like that to the videos, which was really interesting to me.
No kidding. So do you have a favorite claymation movie?
Chicken Run is claymation, which is pretty good. It's one of the most recent. I bet your kids have seen that.
They have. Trust me, so have I.
Yeah, but there's not claymation. I don't know. I wouldn't like to say it's dying, but there's just not a lot happening anymore. But the most popular one is computer animation, obviously.
Yeah. Well, there's a company that's still making movies like the ones you're talking about. Maybe you've seen some of them. So have you seen Kubu and the Two Strings?
Yeah, that one's really good.
Isn't that great?
One.
Right? I really enjoyed that one.
Mm-hmm.
And what else? That company made Paranorman.
I've never seen that one. And also, this is Halloween. Like for Halloween is one.
Are you talking about The Nightmare Before Christmas?
Yeah, that one.
Isn't that great? I just saw The Nightmare Before Christmas back at the holidays, in a theater, and instead of the music, so the dialogue from the movie came from the projector, but all of the music was done by a live orchestra. Yeah,
I heard that.
It was really cool.
Yeah, that's what they used to do in the olden days. They used to it was always they'd make their claymations and then they'd do a live orchestra and add it to the background of the movie.
Isn't that cool? And I got to watch it happen live. Like, so it was really cool. Yeah. So there's a new one coming out soon. But Paranorman is Kelly's favorite. My wife loves Paranorman from that production company. What is it called? I'm trying to think of the name of the production company. I'll think of it in a second. But they have just they really, it's Laika, like Laika. So they have a new movie coming out soon with Hugh Jackman called Missing Link. But my wife loves Paranorman and Coraline. Did you ever see Coraline?
Oh, yeah, Coraline. I was just about to say that.
Right, isn't that cool? Now, you know which one I saw in the theater but didn't like, but I want to go back and try it again because I'm not sure if I was in a bad mood that day. But have you seen The Box Trolls?
Oh, yeah, that one.
Did you like it?
It was a good movie, but it was just like... It was weird to come up with that theme of them making little kids out of box trolls and stuff like that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where I stood on that one. I'm going to watch it one more time to know. But I'm going to tell you right now that I think that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was one of the best movies I saw last year.
Yeah, that's what everyone says.
Yeah, it was really good. So I've already seen it a couple of times. Like I watch it up in the corner of my computer when I'm editing the podcast and stuff like that. So I really do like it. Okay, so we've covered movies. That's pretty cool. And you like animation. Are you thinking about doing this? I mean, I know you're young. It's weird to ask you when you're 11 what you want to do when you grow up, but is that something you really think about?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Right now I don't really know.
No, you can always invest in real estate. Sounds like that's working out for people. Yeah. Uh-huh. Is that boring, do you think?
Yeah, I think
it's... Well, it's paying the bills though, right? You got like shoes and a car and stuff, so it must be working out pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. So I guess your dad does that, but who has more involvement with your diabetes with you? Is it your mom?
It's my mom. Definitely my mom.
How does that work out? Like how many times in a day do you actually go up to her and say, "Hey, I need help with this"?
Most likely, probably once, but I don't really. It's always her. Tommy, do you have this? Oh, okay, Tommy. You okay?
MyOmnipod.com/Juicebox. That's where you're going to go to find out about the insulin pump that Arden has been wearing for over a decade, the Omnipod. When you get to the link, you're going to ask for a pod experience kit. You're going to get a PEC. You fill out a little bit of information, they're going to send you an absolutely free demonstration pod that you can wear at home. And really, that's the best way you're going to be able to tell what you think of the Omnipod. You're going to be able to see it, hold it in your hands, and wear it. You'll be able to put it on your child, take a moment to step back and say, you know what? This isn't bad. I was scared to put something on them maybe with, tubes and all this stuff attached to them, but the Omnipod's not like that. It's tubeless. It's worth a try. Take a look. MyOmnipod.com/Juicebox. I just can't. I don't know how to say it enough. The Omnipod is a staple in our life. Every day. For over a decade, Arden's been wearing an Omnipod. This pump offers freedom in so many different ways. The freedom to adjust your basal rates up and down, to extend out your boluses, to bathe without disconnecting. these things are possibly something that if you don't have the Omnipod, you can't imagine, but they're wonderful. They're life-changing. They allow adjustments that just make all of the difference. And if you're skeptical because you're thinking, yeah, I mean, Scott, you're being paid to say this. Okay, fair enough. But you can still get the demo for free and decide for yourself. myomnipod.com/juicebox. Give it a try today. There is nothing to lose. There's 100% no obligation.
It's always her, Tommy, do you have this? Oh, okay, Tommy, you okay?
She's worried about you. Yeah, well, it's you said earlier, right? It's something you probably should worry about a little bit. So that's nice. Listen, trust me on this, Tommy. You would rather have your mom be involved with this than not be involved with it. So do you tell her sometimes like, hey, I don't, I got it here, I'm okay, or?
I usually I don't really want to say that because I know that if I say that I might hurt her feelings or something like that. But I always need her help. There's nothing I can't do without her help. So she's always looking up to me. I mean, well, she's not looking up to me, but I'm always looking up to her, and she's always very helpful and kind about my diabetes, and she doesn't give me any things that stress me out, which is that's what I love about her.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. That's exactly what she should be doing. She's letting you figure it out and helping you when you need help. I think that's really cool. It really is. And she gives you a lot of trust, which I bet you is nice, right?
She does.
Yeah, good for you. That's very cool. I can't tell you that I hear stories about other people, and some of their stories aren't as good as yours. So there's plenty of people listening who are older now, and they'll think, well, I wish my mom was more involved when I was younger, or gave me some space when I needed space and everything. And I think it's really amazing that you're so involved in it. Can I ask you, do you ever get sad about having diabetes?
Sometimes. There's always ups and downs to having diabetes. There's always something that will pull you down. There's always something that will just let you up a little bit. There's always someone out there that will be like, hey, you got this. You can get through this. But diabetes can be tough for some people, and diabetes can just, I mean, the thing I try to do is just, you have to always remember about diabetes because it's life or death situation. But diabetes, if I could, I'd just be like, hey, just leave me alone, just bye. But right now there's some things that I don't like about diabetes, which is like, you have to give yourself shots, you have to worry about, it's just, sometimes it's not the best. But diabetes, just diabetes. You can get through it.
Right.
Just push through it.
I hear what you're saying. So it kind of is what it is. There's not a lot you can do about it. Sometimes stuff happens that, kind of lifts you up, and sometimes there's stuff that knocks you down, but you can do it. So you just sort of keep going, right? Yeah, that's excellent, man. That is an absolutely great attitude to have, because it isn't going to be wonderful every day. And there are going to be days that are harder than others, but that's your situation and you need to make the best of it, because it's not going to change, right? Like, it's not like you can't wish it away, right? There is no real genie on the beach that's going to come by and ask you if you want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So you just do the best you can. It sounds like you're doing really fantastic. I mean, I'm completely impressed with your A1Cs and your variability. It's stunning. I mean, you're 11. You've only had it for a year. You're doing a great job. What if I asked you to give other people advice about how to keep their blood sugars, where they want them to be? What do you think the most best? I almost said. Say, Tommy, what do you think the best advice would be?
So I hear what you're saying, but first of all, I always, I'm trying to get the word out there, and I'm trying so hard to help people with newly diagnosed diabetes, just giving them advice and stuff like that. So this is a perfect question to ask me.
Cool.
So if you newly just got diagnosed with diabetes, there's no wrong answer to diabetes. Like, if you think diabetes is the worst thing that could ever happen to you, it's really not. Diabetes is just another one of those things that it's just like, it's bad. not that bad, but you can push through it, and you can always stay active with your diabetes and give yourself the ups and downs, like what I said.
Yeah.
Like you can always just be the happiest about diabetes, but then there's sometimes that you can be, diabetes is the worst. I hate diabetes. Nothing else is going to happen better to me. But you know what? That could be true. But then the other thing you just said, diabetes is the best, could be true too.
Mm-hmm.
There's no wrong answer to diabetes.
So what's one good thing that's happened to you because of it?
I mean, a lot. You get a lot of attention. You get a lot of attention, and then you also, some things like you get, like right now I'm skipping school because I get to do diabetes. And then you get juice boxes, like sugar when you're low, like, and then I recently just had my diversary. A diversary is your, like, when you just got born, like it's like a happy birthday, but for diabetes.
Okay.
And then so like I recently just had it, and it's like a second birthday, so you get 2 birthdays in 1 year.
Congratulations. So Tommy, you're telling me that if I have diabetes, the way I could be thinking about it is I get an extra birthday every year. I get to skip days of work or school to go to the doctor, right? People like are around me and care. I can tell people care for me, and I see the love that other people have for me that I might not get to see in other situations. And I get snacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've made it sound pretty good. You really have. And tell people that it's not as bad as it seems, and you just have to keep going. I hear that. Okay.
Yeah.
So where do you try to help people? You said it's important for you to try to help people and that you're trying really hard. Where do you do that?
I recently just started a social media page on Instagram, and I'm almost to 100 followers in like less than a week, which is amazing. I didn't realize that I'd get this much. And so I reached out to people with type 1 diabetes saying, I have it actually right here. So I said, hey, I'm a diabetic with a dream, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, let me pull it up right here. I say, hey, so I'm a diabetic with a dream. I dream that one day diabetes will be no more. So I reach out to people saying I asked them for a photo with their and also with their glucose monitor and pump and stuff like that. And then what's your A1C, and like when did you get diagnosed? How long have you had diabetes for? And then if you here, I'll tell you what my Instagram page is. It's T1D all lowercase _ power. Right now we're at 97 followers, and I post things. My most recent post is of this boy named Dalton, and he's age 7. He was diagnosed at 20 months old on the 22nd of April. It will be 6 years now, and he has a pump in CGM, and he's been very confident with his type 1 diabetes. So I make people without type 1 diabetes more, have more awareness what type 1 diabetes is, so we can get the word out there that type 1 diabetes isn't just a disease. It's like a cool thing that other people have that's amazing, and you should tell people about it.
Tommy, I'm looking at your page now. So you so I see what you're doing. You're having other people with type 1 kind of share their pictures on your page, and you're telling their story and everything, and just trying to raise awareness for all these people. Is this you in the picture at the waterfall?
At the waterfall. Yes, that is me like a year ago.
Like a year ago? See.
Yeah.
I got you. All right. So listen, I want everyone listening who's on Instagram, please go check out Tommy on Instagram. He's T1D _ power. And give him a follow. Say hello.
We're at 98 followers right now. So
very nice.
Yeah.
Good for you, man. That's really cool. I got to tell you, that stuff takes a long time to build up if you do it the right way. And it means more. if you do it the right way. You don't like just try to get like clicks and likes out of anything you can, but you're really trying to do something, and I think that will end up working out for you. It really will. And I'm going to I'll share your stuff on my on mine as well. I'm not the greatest at social media. I'm a little better at this podcast than I am at social media.
No, you're doing great.
You think so? Well, hold on a second, Tommy. I'm getting a phone call for some reason that I have to shoo away, and I have no idea why it's coming through my phone and in my headphones. That sucks. I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. I'm trying really hard to do just like what you're talking about. Like, I feel like I've found some ideas that would help people keep their blood sugar in the range that they're hoping for, give them some freedom that they might feel like they don't have, and I'm doing my best to spread the word about it. So I really appreciate what you're doing. I know how hard it is.
Yeah, and I really appreciate what you were doing too, with the podcast and social media. It's brought my hopes up like 100%. Like, I feel great with diabetes a lot because of what you did, and I really appreciate how you've handled like with your podcast and social media.
Thank you. That is really kind of you. I think that's it was very sweet of you to say. Thank you so much. I am hoping that it continues to grow. It really is, and I'm hoping to reach more and more people. And I say sometimes I get nice notes from people about how well they're doing, and they'll tell me that it has something to do with the podcast, and I just think that's amazing. I wish I could reach more people, and I just keep trying. So I can tell you that this past month just ended. March just ended. It was the most downloaded month in the history of the podcast. Just like the month before and the month before and the month before. I think I'm up to like 18 months in a row where each month does better than the last one. And this in March, I had, I think, 71% more downloads than I had in December. And the ones I had in December were pretty amazing. So it's really going well.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I bet your Instagram page will take off like that as well.
Thank you.
Absolutely, man. All right, Tommy, I'm going to let you go because you got to get the rest of your day going here. You took off this whole day. You need to do something cool. Please thank your mom for letting you come on.
Yes, sure, I will.
And I will let you know as soon as this is going to be on the podcast, okay?
Okay. You can either DM me or Instagram me.
Thank you so much. No, I will. I absolutely will. It might take a couple months, but I absolutely will have it on, okay?
Okay,
all
awesome.
Right, keep in touch, Tommy, all right?
Okay, bye.
Bye. What a nice kid. That's a first for us. Tommy having a conversation while riding in a car coming home from his endo appointment. It's about the most diabetes meta thing you could imagine, right? On a diabetes podcast on your way home from your endo. Thank you so much to Tommy for being interested in being on the podcast, and to his family for allowing him to come on. Please don't forget to check out his Instagram. Thank you also to Dexcom Omnipod and Dancing for Diabetes. You can go to dancing4diabetes.com, myomnipod.com/juicebox, or dexcom.com/juicebox. If you can't remember any of that, those links are actually in your show notes right there in your podcast player or at juiceboxpodcast.com. Keep your eyes open. Later this week, we're going to start a little bonus episode. It'll just be a few minutes long. It'll be Jenny Smith and I defining simple diabetes terms. You'd be surprised how many times I get notes from people who ask me, what does basal mean? What's an extended bolus? I don't understand what ketones are. Somewhere here, I have a absolutely delightful note from someone who said, I was doing MDI for 6 months before I knew it was called MDI. So some diabetes definitions coming your way. You'll see them start appearing in your podcast feed this Friday, and they should go on every Friday, till I run out of definitions. If you have a definition suggestion, send it to me. Any way you can, I don't care. Facebook, Instagram messaging, email through the blog, whatever you want to do. If you have a phrase or a word or diabetes idea that you'd like to find, send it in. Jenny and I will see what we can do.